Milei is a workaholic. I must say this: I've never seen Milei take a real vacation since he's been president.
Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you. Welcome to the Party Pal. It's Fountainhead Forum 457. Skot Sheller is back for the 7th time to talk about Javier Milei, which is our favorite discussion topic. It's his beautiful wife is from the country, and her parents know Milei personally, so he's always a good man to have on here. How are you doing?
Doing good, brother. I'm doing good.
Yeah, and so you were here first time in 2026. You're here, and so I guess we'll just go and see what's been happening since the elections and since the beginning of the year. I mean, the elections were certainly I think we were pleasantly surprised, but as I said, just when you think you got Javier Milei down, he gets back up and surprises you, and that was a good result. But since then, what's happened since then? Unfortunately, we've got some things going on with Manuel Adorni, and also some people are attacking Lilia too. I don't know if you've seen that, but what's going on? Let's just start back for after the elections. What's happened since then? We've also seen some very good taxes lowered, debts getting paid off. It's just amazing.
Yeah. What's happened after the election is Milei finally got some legislative support, which he just didn't have for the first 2 years. Of course, they passed his lay basis, but a lot of the fundamental issues of Argentina weren't solved with that. The lay basis was passed in 2024. And allowed some privatizations. It allowed for RIGI, the investment scheme. It allowed to cut some government and regulations. But some of the biggest problems with Argentina was the labor laws are horrible. The taxes are horrible. And without fixing those issues, Argentina can never really start to grow to a great extent. So Milei really needed that election, and also as we saw with the Buenos Aires election when the Peronist won, Milei needed confidence in his government that they would repay their debts, and these are debts that the previous governments accrued. The Fernandez government and the Macri government in the previous Kirchnerist Cristina governments that Milei was still paying off. Milei actually wasn't accruing a lot of debt. In fact, he was lowering the debt. But if you look at the debt amortization and schedules, they become really significant in 2026. In 2027, 2028, and that was because the previous governments sold apparently longer debt and bonds or whatever, and they did it so the next president would have to deal with it, right? Not them. And Fernandez, the previous president before Milei, conveniently didn't run for president. He had the opportunity to run for re-election but didn't, and he didn't because he knew he had set up a disaster for the country. He had indebted the country so much with payments that the country couldn't really make in several years' time in what would be his second term. So Milei had to deal with this debt, and which was why the election was so important. He wanted to be able to roll over the debt, to pay the debt, to pay the debt, and if the Kirchnerist took control of the legislature, then the confidence in the government would have been ruined. And you saw this with the country risk, which is how able is the country, how reliable is the government, how reliable is the country to pay their debts, and that shot up. That shot up when Milei lost that election. Now it is at a 9-year low. So there's a lot of confidence in the government. Um, and there's a lot more confidence in the government. So that's one thing. The debt was a big issue. Um, and 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 the fact that there is actually confidence that they can pay these debts now. They can get to international markets. They can sell debts. They can sell bonds or securities to pay for old ones, and even refinance them, get them at better interest rates, and etc. So that's a very good thing. The labor law that Milei passed was excellent in my estimation. Now it has just come into effect. So they passed it, I believe it was in January of this year, something like that.
Yeah.
And this allowed hiring and firing to be much more streamlined, less costly. This was we've discussed in this in the past, Chris, was a huge problem. Half the country worked in the informal markets because they couldn't afford being formally employed. One, the social security taxes for employers was ridiculous. It's like 33% of wages. That's absolutely ridiculous. In the U.S. it's nothing like that, and I think it's like 18. It's less than half of that. In most of the Latin American countries, it's like 10%, and here's Argentina with 33%. They made firing basically impossible and allowed for lawsuits. And employers were constantly being sued. It was this lawsuit scheme. So Argentina, and this actually was like they do in the United States, was rejected in the courts for a while. It was the courts of Argentina, even though Milei won with a huge majority, even though they got this passed through Congress. The court said for a few months that you can't do this. This is illegal, and only recently has that been shot down and the labor law gone into full effect. And it does seem to coincide with the economy recovering. It seems to me that the economy is improving now. We've seen in Argentina this year record agricultural harvests. And one reason is Milei reduced the taxes on the agricultural sector. So they actually had export taxes.
Yeah.
And these were taxes that you had to pay if you wanted to export from the country, which
means people just don't bother making enough to export.
Precisely. Yeah, precisely. And so reducing these taxes allowed, and sometimes eliminating, there's a lot of taxes that were actually eliminated altogether. These withholding taxes that were eliminated. Some of them are not eliminated but reduced. They've either been reduced or eliminated. You're right. It gives the incentive to actually produce more. So farmers are producing as much as possible, and given the soybean prices, what's going on in the world, they're getting nice prices for that. And there's another thing. Milei is also opening up trade towards the European Union, towards China, towards around the world, which increases demand for Argentina products. So like they've had record harvest. We've seen that. Um, they've also have they've also increased their mining output, which because of years of Peronist rule and very anti-mining, sentiments in the country, their mining sector is a tiny fraction of what it could be. Everybody talks about Chile. Chile's one of the biggest mining economies in the world, especially with copper. And Argentina produces a tiny fraction of that. Yet they still have that same mountain range. They still have the same capacity, probably more, to produce copper. Yet they don't. And one of Malay's legislative victories, Rigi, which we discussed before, has opened up the mining sector for investment. So we're seeing a lot of investments in copper. I've seen gold. I've seen lithium, which Argentina has a lot of the lithium, world's lithium. And so that sector is starting to grow. Now that'll take a while to mature, and it might mature after Malay's presidency. It won't reach its apogee until after Malay's presidency, but it's a good sign. And there's another thing Argentina is really excelling at, and that is their oil energy markets are going crazy. And part of this is the rise in oil prices, of course, have increased demand for Argentina oil, but a lot of it is just they are much more willing to invest in new projects and willing to produce, which the previous government just was not. The oil and gas sectors had been declining for years. To be fair, Macri did support investment in this, and that started to pay off. But Milei has really pushed and unleashed the oil markets with his deregulations. They are doing a lot of investments. So their productive sectors in Argentina are doing very well. Now there is another factor which Milei has been criticized for, and I think it's inevitable with deregulations and opening the market, is the industry in Argentina, which has been declining since Milei took office. Now, the industry in Argentina, a lot of it was unviable, was uncompetitive to global markets. After years of protection and subsidies, like I said, the Peronists, they basically kept the same businesses in charge, the same people in charge. It wasn't a dynamic economy. You had the same businessmen, the same unions, the same politicians. This is what they called the caste, and the predatory businesses sided with the politicians, and then the unions took care of the working class, manipulated them to vote for Peronism. So you had this predatory system, and as Milei has started to unravel this predatory system, some of these businesses have struggled. There was one, Thought Tires. Have you heard about this one, Chris? Went out of business.
Thought Tires, yeah. Well, I remember La Casta Tiene Miedo.
Yeah.
It has fear, yes.
Right. And so yeah, Thought Tires, if you read about it, it was this horrible tire company that had terrible quality products. Like tires that would last 6 months and be ruined, right? And stuff like that. Uh, but the Peronists are up in arms that it went out of
Yeah.
business. It's been around for like 70 years. But
Yeah.
if you have tires that you can import that are cheaper and they actually last, how's that bad for the consumer, right? The overall Argentinian consumer is better off. And Milei actually deregulated and lowered the taxes on tires because it was a huge problem in Argentina because they had these horrible tires that were expensive, so they went out of business. And there's
Yeah.
been a lot of cases of that, in Terra del Fuego. They would just rebuild consumer product or like computer and phone products. So they would take in the raw materials and they would rebuild it, and it caused the price to skyrocket for the
Yeah.
consumer, right? To do that. Other countries have done this too, and it's just a horrible idea. And so, like those businesses that had jobs uh, lost jobs. So, yeah. So there's a lot of there was a lot of criticism of Malay on in industry, saying, "Oh, we have high unemployment because we're losing it in industrial jobs." So, and it's actually the people are the macro environment looks good, right? There's a budget surplus, GDP appears to be growing, yada yada. But the micro, what people are actually experiencing on the ground, is not good, right? We have high employment, etc. And some of that is just the transition from this very protected economy to one that is more competitive or more open. And so there's that. However, I've really seen a change in the last few months on everything, and there was also higher inflation, which the inflation rate had been dropping for a long time, but had been going up, not to an extreme level like it had been, but it had gone down to 1.5% monthly inflation, and it had risen all the way. I think it was in February or March to 3.4% monthly inflation, which is concerning. But ever since then, it's been coming down again. So that's good. And if you look at recent reports, I saw one recently. Every sector in Argentina has grown. Every sector in Argentina has grown, except for the government. That's shrunk. So, talks about the economy not doing well, I think, are overblown. I see a lot of good deregulations coming in the future that I'm very excited about. This one where they're going to deregulate businesses and allow businesses to be started more easily and to operate more easily. I think that one's really important.
Yeah.
So I think things are starting to look up now. You wonder about the global economy with the oil markets, the what's happening in the Iran war and all of that. And how will that affect Argentina? That's unsure. But to an extent, Argentina is somewhat barricaded from that because they do produce a lot of their own oil, right? They do have a huge agricultural sector. And I will say that, urea and fertilizer are a big problem right now, right? But they're not in planting season. They're in winter. So they kind of got lucky with that. I'm hoping by the time that they get to planting season, that they'll be able to accumulate enough of the fertilizer, urea, that they'll be able to plant without a lot of problems, and they'll be able to probably sell their products, their agriculture products for high prices on international markets. So all in all, to me, I watch this daily. It really seems like Argentina is turning a corner, where I think the economy is really going to start to head in a very in a positive direction, and not that it hasn't been, but in a more positive direction that people are happy about. Outstanding of some sort of like worldwide financial crisis that affects everybody.
I mean, yeah, I'm just looking at some charts, with the peso against the dollar, and it looks like the peak now is about 1478 or 1480, and that was back in September. So the peso, at least against the American dollar, it seems like it's stabilized, which is a good sign. I mean,
yeah, it has. Oh, and they've accumulated a lot of reserves too.
I mean, you slam the brakes on inflation, the car doesn't stop immediately, but maybe the car finally has stopped, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think there was some big hits in the demand for the peso that they were kind of feeling from that election. It's amazing how these elections affected Ocampo. I forget his first name.
Emilio Ocampo. Yeah.
Emilio Ocampo. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been kind of an advisor, not anything official though. Yeah.
Right. But he produced a paper about it. I forget the actual name of what he talks. I've written about it on my X account, but it's this issue when you have these countries. It has to do with election risks, and this involves regime certainty and all that jazz, where when you go from a country that goes from populist president to a non-populist president, it goes back and forth. And in this case, the opponents to Milei are literally communist, right? They're not even like center-left people that are bad, but not like commies, not totally disastrous. They don't want to change the system all that much. And so the opposition are literally communists that want to tear everything down. So basically what he wrote about is when you have this situation, you go from populist presidents to non-pop, it creates tremendous anxiety in the markets. Because of the regime and such, and people just do not know what's going to happen, or how their investments are going to be treated, or if they're going to be repaid for their debts, right? For their investments and stuff. So you saw this after Alberto Fernandez won. The markets just crashed tremendously, right? When McCree lost. So there was that, and it also caused the peso just to devalue tremendously. It caused, you can see the country risk now it's below 500, but when the Kirchners won in Buenos Aires in September of 2025 in an upset, or in an unexpected election that didn't obviously affect the national elections, but was a signal that things weren't going well. The country risk shot up to like to untenable territories, where so that's what happened. And like I think the loss of demand for the peso during that was a factor in the increase in inflation. You also have the Middle East. I think maybe that does affect inflation. The rise in oil prices. Some people would disagree with that, but oil so central to everything that we do that that I could see that would affect the inflation. So yeah, so that was concerning for people. I heard people complaining a lot about that inflation that was happening in Argentina.
Yeah, and of course the makeup of the Congress, 72 seats in the 72 seats in the Senate, and La Libertad Avanza has 21. In the and then in the Chamber of Deputies, 257 seats, and Libertad Avanza has 85. I mean, not a majority, but certainly nothing. Certainly enough people that you can't really ignore them. I mean, so yeah, I think that's and of course, if things keep going well, I mean, there will be some. Hopefully he'll have even more seats. It's yeah, hard to say. We've had some things going on with Manuel Adorni as
Mhm.
chief of staff. I mean, what can you say about that? Because it seems like to me there's been some improprieties here that maybe Milei should fire Adorni or maybe not. I mean, what do you think about all that?
Wow. Yeah. So as somebody that just adored Adorni in the first year, 2 years when he was a spokesperson, I listened to every single press conference in Spanish. It helped me understand, like, it improved my Spanish. Just listening to Adorni every day improved my Spanish so significantly. Um, I do have a special place for Adorni. He really is an incredible spokesperson. He really was the best I've ever seen, and he really it was so funny when he would just destroy his opponents. Like,
Yeah.
they it was a spectacle. It really was something to see. So, but the question about Adorni is, has he enriched himself?
Yeah.
Right? Has he enriched
Yeah.
himself?
Is he enriched himself or is he just taking plane rides? I mean,
Right. The
there's a lot
plane
worse
ride.
things you can do than take plane rides.
Right. So yes. So exactly. So he has the plane ride stuff isn't terribly concerning for me. Although yes, I think one of the problems is when Milei had the Argentina week in the United States at the United States Stock Exchange. He
Yeah.
came with his wife on the plane, and so they're like, they're criticizing him for that, because
Yeah.
that would be an expensive thing. And then he claimed there was some other stuff. Now, some of this stuff has been debunked.
Yeah.
I'm not the most detailed about it, but some of a lot of it has been debunked. But the stuff that I think is the most concerning for people. I think the plane stuff is not on the top
Yeah.
of most people's mind, right? Like,
Yeah.
whether he took a plane, and, oh, did it cost $2,000? He only makes $2,000 a month. I think his salary is like $3,000 a month or something like that.
Yeah, and if it's like if you drive Bernarda, your wife, to New York City, or if you drive to New York City alone, does it really cost that much more money to have a second person? I mean, the car is going anyway, the plane's going anyway. So
Right.
yeah, I mean, maybe he should just fly commercial because we remember Milei was flying regular
Right.
airlines when he got started. So yeah,
I think they should be extra careful, his administration, in these matters. But the other thing is, like, they're claiming that he bought these houses with these loans from, like, these old people gave him loans, and they're like, oh, we didn't actually know him, blah blah blah. And so they're claiming Adorni, um, bought these houses and have these assets that like there's no way he could afford under his salary, right? So that's one of the bigger concerns. I will say that I don't know what to. I really I'm not sure what I think about this. Maybe you know more, Chris. I will say that in Adorni's offense, if you go back to over 10 years ago, Adorni was Mr. like Bitcoin guy, Mr. I'm investing in Bitcoin, like you Bitcoin, 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 like you're going to get rich with Bitcoin. But when it was a fraction of the price it is now.
Yeah.
So, it's
As
very
we're saying,
possible.
where the currency is horrible. Yeah.
Right. It's very possible. Like we know that he was buying Bitcoin at 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 a fraction of what it is. So because he was talking about it.
Yeah, but everybody who bought
It's
Bitcoin,
very possible he's just very, in Argentina terms, is very wealthy just from the Bitcoin he bought. If he would have hodled some of that Bitcoin, then he'd be extremely wealthy. So relatively wealthy. So you can go back on his timeline and he's talking about it a long time ago when it was when even at Bitcoin is down, what it's like $80,000. That would have been like incredible at that time, right? So I think that that could be a factor in his wealth. He might be wealthy from Bitcoin, and like I know a lot of people are,
yeah,
especially here in New Hampshire. So,
yeah.
So I think to be fair though, I think it is a bad look. I think it has hurt Milei, and it has hurt Adorni, and there is possibility that these loans and some of the stuff that he did are some sort of enrichment that was unwarranted.
Yeah, and just look, Bitcoin was about 15 or 16,000 pesos, Argentine pesos 10 years ago. And now it's peaked at over 104. And now it's currently, it once got up to 170 million pesos. And now it's about 104 million pesos. So he definitely would have profited from that. But anybody who bought Bitcoin 10 years ago has definitely done well. If you
held on to it,
and yeah, if you sell it today, although at least, if you look at the past 22, 18, 14, this I said this should be a crash year for Bitcoin, but I think maybe the 4-year cycles are over. But it's hard to say. But still, it's
you
haven't made any money until you sell it. They don't seem to understand that, but it's
right. Yeah, that's the investments in that. That's how I treat my investments when I do trading and stuff. Is I might have an unrealized. Anyways, you have to realize you have to be patient with investments. When it comes to realized and unrealized loss, you haven't really lost anything unless it's an unrealized or realized loss.
Yes, he's now the chief of the cabinet of ministers. Just wondering, where did Francos go? Because Guillermo Francos used to have that job.
Yeah, so he's still friendly with Milei, but Francos was more of a. They hired Francos because Francos was more of a political figure that was kind of had some kind of Peronist sympathies, right?
Yeah.
And the issue is they had a legislature that was so tilted against them, right? That that they needed somebody that could talk to some of the representatives in the government and convince them to vote for their legislation. That knew how to do it. That knew that they trusted and liked. That's why they had Francos, and he was amazing at it. He was really good. He was really, really good. But when they started to get a bigger majority after the elections, his type of skills just weren't as needed anymore. Like his skills to deal with the other side and get some of those people to vote for the legislation weren't quite as needed. So they got somebody more aligned with the government. But I also heard that Santiago Caputo, who he represents like the youth, the the Miller intellectuals, that the youth movement that helped propel Milei to the victory. Santiago Caputo and him really argued over strategy, and I think that part of that is because Franco's is kind of an old school guy, not one of these young kids, like one of these militant kids, right? And so there was a lot of fighting over that, and I think Milei was like, I'm not going to get rid of I'm not going to alienate my young militant activist, very enthusiastic base. So he kept Santiago Caputo. By the way, there's a lot of some of the other controversies I hear aren't just Adorni. There is some positioning and fighting within the Milei government, and it involves the Caputo. Santiago, not Toto Caputo, but I think it's his nephew.
Yeah, or Luis Caputo, yeah.
I think, Luis
Caputo is the only one, and I think Luis is his uncle, or
Luis is Santiago's uncle.
Yeah, well, most of the people in the Milei cabinet have changed. I mean, Vijarel is still the same. Karina Milei is the general secretary. Luis Caputo is still there. Petavello is still the Ministry of Human Capital, and
I think she's very good.
Ministry of Justice is still Barona, and Bullrich went to the Senate, and now it's Alejandra Monteo Oliva, and Luis Petri replaced by Carlos Petri, Minister of Defense. Yeah.
So I think I think some of this is I wonder why. I always wondered why this happened. Why Bullrich and Petri left the government, but I think the play really is have them move into the governors.
Yeah.
I think Petri. It looked to me that he's angling to become the governor of Mendoza.
Okay, so and they really kind of served the purpose because they helped get Milei elected, because Bullrich and Petri were their own ticket running against Milei until the final.
That's absolutely right, and I would when in that vice presidential debate. Were against Vijarel, who did a great job in that debate.
Yeah.
Petri was not like, he was not libertarian. He really attacked their libertarian agenda, but I think that Petri has learned from Milei. I think that he has seen learned from Milei. I think they all have learned from Milei.
Yeah.
They've seen the progress and they know, they understand. I think they bought into what Milei is doing. So it seems to me that Petri has actually been pretty loyal to Milei, and same as Bullrich. Now, I can't remember if Bullrich attacked Adorni recently.
Yeah.
Somebody said that happened, but she seems to still be loyal to Milei. And I think I think she lives in Cabo. I think her play maybe is to run for governor of the autonomous city of Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
That's what I think. It's too bad. Too bad she's not in the province of Buenos Aires. She'd be a great candidate for that. But to be governor of Buenos Aires province.
Yeah, because there are actually a lot more people in the province of Buenos Aires than there are in Cabo, which, by the way, is Ciudad Autonomous de Buenos Aires. So autonomous city of Buenos Aires. But
yeah.
So because I still wonder, did Bullrich sincerely change, or is she just going this way because that's the popular way? It's you never really know.
It's a good question, but I think Bullrich actually, I think she does kind of agree with. I think she has learned from Milei's economics. She will talk about deficits and all that stuff now, and maybe that's just because it's popular. But I think she probably, I think they've seen the results firsthand that it's been effective. So I think that they might be convinced by Milei, right?
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, and I think I just saw polling in Mendoza, and it looks like Petri, which I think he would run the same year as Milei, 2027. Looks like he's looks like he has a very good chance at winning in Mendoza.
Yeah,
which is I think the third most populated province. Well, third or fourth. I'm not sure if Santa Fe is higher than that or not. But it's third or fourth most popular. It's got a couple million people, so it's significant.
And I would also say, after Buenos Aires, that's the city to go visit. I mean, Mendoza is nice.
Yeah, nice. Have you been to Cordoba as well?
I've been to Cordoba. I didn't like it as well.
Mendoza. I really love Rosario.
Mendoza's closer to I know you love Rosario, and I should probably go there. Although the crime situations kind of turned me off, but it looks like it might. I know you talk about Rosario. Yeah, the provinces of Argentina. Yeah, it's
as far as it's a
Cordoba is the second highest, most populated, then Santa Fe, and then Caba is actually fourth, and then Mendoza, and then Tucumán, Salta, Entre Rios, Misiones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Makes sense, yeah.
Smallest by population, Tierra del Fuego, yeah.
But Mendoza is an important province, and it's one of the more wealthier provinces too.
All that winemaking. That's generally winemaking. That's usually a good because that's something people don't stop buying, even when people are poor, they somehow find money to buy wine or buy beer.
Yeah. That's right.
Is there a beer industry in Argentina, or is it just wine, or is it just other? I don't think I really saw much beer down there. Actually, I can see beer in McDonald's though.
There's that Quilmes beer that's in Quilmes, which is a very Peronist place.
Yeah,
and it's run by it's a very mismanaged place.
And as I said, I saw beer in McDonald's, which you would not see that in the USA, but beer in McDonald's. So
they do, but they do have. I went to a couple craft breweries when I was there, so I mean it is a thing. Wine is obviously very important. They're culturally very Italian, and I mean their ancestry is very Italian. Mm-hmm. So it is a thing, but they do drink beer too, and they have some national beer like Quilmes is a famous one.
Well, beer is one of those things.
Sometimes in the U.S., but
beer and wine are pretty much everywhere. I think I haven't had that much pasta down there yet, but even though
I've heard it's wonderful. I have any pizza, though. I don't think I've had any, but I'm not a big pasta eater either. I'm gonna eat their asado and stuff, but it's according to my wife, it's wonderful.
I had some good ice cream, and I remember Maggie Anders, who's been on the show once, and she just said Argentina has the best ice cream in the world.
It absolutely does. And I responded that Tiones in La Plata is notoriously wonderful. They do have some wonderful. Their ice cream's great. I don't. It's hard to describe it. It just seems more pure. I don't know what to say. It seems less processed or something. It really is fantastic ice cream. I love Tiones. I mean, I do like a lot of the ice cream. I'm an ice creamaholic, Chris. It's actually
who isn't
of mine.
Yeah, and Maggie did just get married to a guy named Nico, who's also from I believe his parents are from Argentina. So we want to wish Maggie the best on her new marriage, and she's certainly become an expert on Milei too. So anyway, so yeah, that's one thing I'm looking forward to is how many friendly governors can Milei get? I mean, I hope we get some more, get some more friendly.
That's absolutely right. And in Cordoba and some of the bigger
more friendly provincial legislatures. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Chris, for cutting you off. Yeah, like the Cordoban governor is very mediocre. For example, he's a very kind of how he operates is kind of Peronist and stuff. And they did sign up for Riggy, and they've done some things, but he's like kind of he's a big government guy. What's his name? Pachero? And
Which governor is that?
That's the one in Santa Fe, I think. The Santa Fe governor is not that great. Talk about him maybe running against Milei in that United Provinces that party.
Santa Fe is Maximiliano Pujaro.
Pacharo.
Yeah, Pullaro. Oh, they say it as an SH.
It's
double L. Sometimes some countries the double L is a Y. Some countries it sounds like a J. Yeah. It seems like in some South America they pronounce it more like a J. But yeah. There's a few people here. Jorge Macri is the chief of the government of Buenos Aires right now. So some people in pro are somewhat
he's also pretty mediocre.
He's also what?
He's also pretty mediocre. Now their legislature went heavy La Avanza, and so he's had to deal with a much more libertarian legislature there.
Oh yeah.
So they pushed him in a more positive way, but he's part of the cast. He doesn't like to cut spending and likes to restrict building, and it's kind of hostile to development. So yeah, one of the governors that's been most cooperative is, you might remember, Nacho Torres, who was one of the ones that fought with Milei the most, right? He's actually, from what I understand, has been cutting taxes and been much more responsible. He was the governor. He's young. He was the governor and he's in Chubut, which is like a mining / oil province.
Yeah, Ignacio Torres. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that was threatening to cut off oil to the rest of the country.
Right. He's really young too. He's only 38. Yeah.
Yeah, he's young.
He still looks like a kid. Yeah.
So I think he might be one of the more allied with Milei governors.
Yeah.
I think the one in Mendoza is fairly. Some of the others have just kind of gone in line more to a certain extent. Like the one in Salta, he doesn't really get the whole economics and stuff, but I think he personally kind of likes Milei, and so they have some people like that, and I think like they kind of see the writing on the wall too. When Milei won in 2023, he won almost all their provinces, right? So, and in 2025, when his party won again, like I think a lot of them just kind of see that this is a force that a lot of people want, right? Milei won a lot of those provinces, so got the majority in many of those provinces. So I think they know that they have to compromise with his government. So yeah, like it is a problem for them. It is a problem for Malay's government, and he really does need to try to get some of the governorships, and that's why I think he put Petri into the Congress, so he could get some other experience, right? Representing Mendoza, especially, representing Mendoza, right? So, and Bullrich is as well. My guess is, she's getting up there in age, But
Yeah,
my guess is I think she's in her mid to upper 60s. My guess is she'll run for governor of Cabo.
yeah. I mean, I sometimes I wonder. Bullrich
Or
probably realizes she doesn't have any more much time left, and just maybe wants to. Maybe they think more about what kind of legacy they're going to leave. I mean,
right.
Bullrich is certainly a character of politics. There's no doubt about that. I mean, if they haven't made a movie about her life, they need to. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, I know I slammed Bullrich worse than I slammed Massa during the debates. I really did, and then like,
I
oh my
remember.
goodness, now she's allied with him. I mean, just like, Scott, it's also it's a lot easier to go from really hating somebody like that to thinking they're kind of cool than it is to go the other way. I mean, because I've had it go the other way with people I know, and just
No, she's been very loyal to Milei. And
yes, she has. She's been a good soldier. Yeah, it's
yeah, very, very loyal to Milei.
yeah,
And one of his honestly his best assets, especially when he was so weak
yeah,
in the legislature. She really helped pull the more center right, law and order people to Malay's
yeah.
side. We
Interesting.
haven't talked about Villarreal, who
Yeah. One of my guests did say that that's actually not unusual. That for the vice president to turn on the president in Argentina.
no, it's not. Christina Kirchner did it to Fernandez.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And she was what year was that? 2021. The Kirchners Peronists suffered one of their biggest losses ever in the midterms.
Yeah.
And
right after
she criticized him. She was the vice president. She criticized him. So like for his management and of the economy and stuff. So and the politics. So it's just in general, Argentina politics is known for betrayal.
Yeah.
And backstabbing. It's always been that. It's been that way for a long time. And
the soap operas in South America are more interesting than they are in the USA.
In Mexico,
they are. You call it a soap opera. And then, of course, I love when
the most known for them.
And of course, I always love it when I have to explain to foreigners why we call them soap operas. But anyway, it's just So yes, we'll change sides. We'll go over here. Yeah, I mean, the whole. It'll be very. It's really, granted, not everything's been perfect, but still, we're going in a good direction, and
It is.
It bothers me when a lot of libertarians are becoming more critical of Milei, and I just kind of look at him and say, "Look, the cliche Rome wasn't built in a day. You can't tear down Rome in a day either."
Yeah, and like I was talking to Kinsella, who I like Kinsella, but on X, I should have said hi to him at the convention, but he listens to Safedine and stuff, so I just point. I was like, why? I just don't understand why Austrians wouldn't enjoy Milei, because he does. His policies have been very libertarian and have been very friendly to what Austrians believe. Right. I think though they're so obsessed with monetary policy. Right.
Well,
I mean, that's like. Austrians are just so upset. Like it's like their number one, only sometimes what they over obsess with, and we can talk about that. But Milei has done enormous deregulations. I saw over 15,000 deregulations. He cut the government. He cut spending. When do governments actually cut government spending? Right. You can't really name any governments that actually cut government spending. He's opened up trade. Like he's been pro agricultural production, pro energy production, right? He's been pretty diplomatic on foreign policy. I know but he's been pretty diplomatic, trading with a lot of different people, including the Chinese and the Brazilians and people that everybody claimed that Milei wouldn't do. He's done. So, they're like, he's gotten rid of the capital controls, right? Or not all of them, but most of them.
You can do business in Bitcoin. You can do business in U.S.
Right.
dollars. You can do business in Chilean pesos or Brazilian reals. I mean, reales, or
that's right. And I think what people they see too is they see him taking out debt.
Yeah.
And they see him taking out debt, but they don't understand that's going to pay for other debt.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like refinancing the mortgage on your house.
Yeah. It's like refinancing the mortgage. That's exactly right. And that's what every country does. They sell new debt to pay for the old debt, right? To pay for the old debt, so they don't have to pay all the maturities and the amortizations and all that. So that's what Argentina is doing. So there's people kind of they see that Argentina is taking out debt, getting more debt, and they think that Milei is just increasing the debt, and that's what he's doing, but he's not. He's actually been lowering the debt. And Seyfedin, this is pointed out to Seyfedin so many times by me, by other people. He just blocks you immediately when you point this out. But
he hasn't blocked me. You
need to up your game, Chris. Yeah. You need to up your game with.
Well, I'm not. Well, Scott. Sometimes you're calling these people names. I'm not doing that. I mean, there's no reason to.
Oh man, I don't try to make it personal.
Yeah,
I don't like Seyfedin. I never called names. I said that his is so I said that what he says is so misleading that it's shocking. That's what I said, which is true, because it's astonishing that you can claim you're a scholar and then keep doing this.
Yeah.
Keep up these at this point it has to be a personal thing with him, and we know why. But
we know why. Yeah,
we know why, and which is we can get into. But Seyfedin will say they're increasing their debt.
Yeah,
and he's mistaken because he only looks at the Treasury's balance sheet. He doesn't look at the balance sheet of the central bank, which basically was serving sort of as a treasury. People don't realize that, but they were selling like bonds and stuff.
Yeah.
They had liabilities on that they were selling and stuff. That was the Lilix problem.
Yeah.
So Milei moved that stuff that should be on the Treasury balance sheet to the Treasury balance sheet. So it looks like the Treasury balance sheet. Oh my gosh, the Treasury balance sheet has risen so much, but the Treasury balance sheet has risen so much, but the central bank balance sheet has shrunk so much. So all in all, it has decreased. And there's this thing. Have you heard about this thing called floating debt, Chris? Have you heard about all that?
Floating debt? Is that like debt with floating interest rates, or?
No. It's like intergovernment debt.
Yeah,
because you're not paying, for example, the federal the universities, right? They have bills, but you're not paying the bills.
It's amazing all the shell games these people play in the government. It's so, and that's really what it is.
And our buddy, I don't know you anyways, that was that floating debt was like 4 or 5 times what it is now.
Yeah.
So Milei's brought that down. Now it's funny because buy sell Buenos Aires. He's on X.
Buy sell Buenos Aires.
Yeah, he's on X. He's a big real estate guy in Buenos Aires.
Yeah. Well, that's
I find him interesting. But he does some of this
buy sell BA. Oh, actually, buy sell BA. I don't follow him. Yeah,
You should.
buy sell BA. Yeah,
no, he's. I don't want to get into him. I find him a valuable resource, but he's much more negative. And one thing, like he was talking about the floating debt. Oh, it's a Malay's deficit, budget surpluses are a scam. And he only did 1 or 2 months of the floating debt, which is 4 billion or something, or 4 million. I can't remember. It's significant, but then if you take it out, if you extend the range of the graph, it was it's gone it's gone like this. It's gone like this since Milei has been
gone like this
president. Yeah. It was over $10 billion during Massa. It was $15 billion during Massa, and now it's averaging 2 or 3. It's averaging 2 billion or something. So it's decreased a lot, and he was saying that it's a scam and stuff. But when you look at the whole trend of it, it's gone down a lot, which means that Milei has been much more of a steward of the fiscal situation. So that's even improved. And a lot of these people, they look at, we're talking about safety net. So in all aspects, Argentina's debt is lower.
Yeah.
And that's one of safety net's big arguments. And even their M2 has been shrinking.
What is M2 exactly?
That's all. That's all the currency, including. That's all including bank equivalents and all that stuff, checking and all that stuff.
So
that's been actually declining. It's one of the few countries in the world where it's been declining. And the other thing that I'm still trying to understand entirely about is the dollar purchases of the central bank. They do purchase dollar. They're purchasing a lot of dollars, and
not sure why, but yeah.
No, we know why, Chris. It's because they have so much foreign currency to pay. So they have a tremendous amount of debt, right? That they have to pay. I should send it to you, Chris. Maybe I'll post about it. But in 2026, 2027, they have, I think 2027 is the worst. They have $35 billion they have to pay in debt, mostly foreign debt. And they need the reserves to pay it, right? So that's the issue. And so they need the foreign currency to pay the debt. Mm-hmm. That's why they're accumulating foreign currency.
Yeah. So it's kind of weird how all this happens. Seems like it'd be so much easier if we just all go back to gold or silver, but oh well. We were talking about some of these governors. I mean, we still didn't mention, what is anything going to change, for example, in Formosa or Santiago del Estero? I mean, they're both basically these little independent fiefdoms.
That's a good question. Formosa, I don't know. That Gilfrin is his name. Well, what you can look up his name.
Formosa is Hildo Insfran.
Insfran, yeah.
That does not look Spanish at all. Yeah.
But he really is. It really is a fiefdom in Formosa. Famously fiefdom.
Since 1995, longer than
1995, right.
Longer than Putin in Russia. That's been
30 years he's been in charge of Formosa, and their economy is hardly grown in 30 years.
And what happens with provinces or states like this is they just lose people. People just go to another province.
Well, Formosa is very poor, notoriously poor. People don't have indoor plumbing, stuff like that in a lot of
Yeah.
areas. It's a notoriously poor province, and a very high amount of government workers. And the thing is, he owns a lot of the land, and he leases the land to people.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what
So
people don't
he's
understand.
like the Egyptian pharaoh, basically. I mean,
Yeah,
and
he really is like and that gives you a lot of power, when you control
oh
people's
yeah, if you own the land,
land.
yeah. I
Like
mean, it's
if
I mean, and they also have a long border with Paraguay, uh,
yeah,
the Formosa province. Yeah, because it's on that northern part, and
but he's old now. I think he's in his is he in his you can look up his age, but he's getting older. He's in his 70s probably.
yeah,
So the question is, how long does he have? And he relied a lot on those transfers that we talked about that
yeah,
Malay
he's
cut.
75. Yeah, all these money from the feds. Yeah,
Yeah, he relied money from the feds, from the central government, and Malay
uh,
pretty much cut that off. So I know he's complaining a lot about that, and he's like, oh, Malay's he's one of these
yeah.
he's pretty bad.
He was in the PCR, the Revolutionary Communist Party, and a Maoist party. Now he's in the who just the
That's the Peronist party.
who justicialist. Yeah, that's a
Yeah, that's the Peronist.
Peronist
That
party.
was a Peron's party. That's what he called it.
Yeah, he's a he's and also telling too. They do a yeah he's a yeah he's definitely been a and of course we also got the guy in Santiago del Estero who isn't much better, and these are all in the what you'd call
Extremely poor provinces too.
yeah
Those
Jaro,
northern provinces
yeah,
are very poor.
they're kind of the rainforest part of the country.
Yep, and there's just a lot now. And the labor laws that Malay fixed, that improved. They're not like the United States has some of the best labor laws. That's kind of our key, but we have a
Yeah,
lot of at will employment and all that. But
yeah,
theirs isn't quite that level. But it has improved, and the labor laws really affect those poor provinces because
mm,
they have so many basically it was so involved with unions and what people had to be paid, right? You had to be paid a certain it's like a high minimum wage,
mm,
right, in a poor place. Like a $20 minimum wage in New York City probably is not that
yeah,
destructive, right? It probably is destructive, but it's not catastrophic, right? But a $20 minimum wage in Pueblo, Colorado,
or West Virginia.
or
Yes,
West Virginia, right, is a disaster.
yeah, and it
And it's the
doesn't.
same in these provinces where the labor laws make employment impossible there.
Yeah,
That's
it
why
just
one reason they rely on the government. So you might be seeing with Malay's changes, Insfram, uh, like his whole fiefdom collapsing.
hopefully.
And some of these other ones.
Yeah,
There's another horrible governor, the governor of La Rioja. And have you heard about this? They're building which province is San Juan?
That's Ricardo Quintela. That's La
Yeah, he's
Rioja.
awful
Yeah,
too. He's the
he's
one
also
that I wrote an article about him. He's the one that created his own currency that failed
oh
to
jeez.
try to pay for his because of the transfers, because they had so many public employees in that province, which could be a mining province, which is should be a prosperous province. It has a lot of mining
Yeah,
potential,
it's
has
on
wineries.
Chilean border. Yeah, yeah, it's in the
Yeah,
mountains.
but there was I think it's in San Juan. The province is it north of it. You can
San
look.
Juan is also on the border. I think it is north of it. It's also on the
Yeah,
Chile
you're right. So they have. So
line.
he did not sign up for the Malay's Riggy thing. what the rigging thing was passed by the federal government, but had to be approved by the legislatures of the provinces, right? And so San Juan did that, and I believe San Juan has the biggest copper copper discoveries, like in Argentina. There's a major copper discovery, which is a very central mineral element, and this jerk Quintella said that basically they couldn't for this copper thing, this copper. They said they couldn't use the roads in La Rioja.
Mm-hmm.
They literally couldn't use the roads in La Rioja.
Yeah, La Rioja is kind of north.
But think about that. That's crazy. And this guy has because he has rejected the RIGI, which is like it gives foreign exchange guarantees, it gives tax guarantees, it gives property rights guarantees. It was a brilliant thing that Milei did. Because he did not sign up for the RIGI, his province has missed out on billions of dollars probably in investments.
Yeah, and Mendoza is just south of San Juan, and there's a few others. Yeah, Formosa's. Since it's in the same area, what's the situation in Chaco?
That's the poorest province. That's like the Mississippi.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's literally.
Those people seem like Milei though.
Yeah, I mean, kind of southwest of Formosa and northeast of Santiago del Estero. So,
yeah, they were one that voted for Milei.
Yeah. Yeah, he did do well there. Yeah.
Yeah. Unlike the other one. Now, Santiago del Estero had a lot of fraud.
I think there's a lot of fraud in Formosa too, from what I'm hearing. Yeah, but. So who knows?
Santiago del Estero didn't do a good job covering it up because there were certain towns Milei got 0 votes.
Yeah, when there's shutouts are candidates got 0 votes. Raise an alarm. I mean, if you're going to rig an election, you still got to throw a few votes to the guy you don't want to win, or people are going to. Well, we don't advocate for rigging elections, but if you give 0 to the other guy, I mean. People are going to know something's up. Yeah, so it's kind of wild that happened, but those northern provinces, Hui and Formosa and Chaco and Corrientes,
Salta,
Catamarca,
much more. Some of them are less poor, but like. Very much more poor, much more underdeveloped. Obviously the biggest town up there I think is Tucumán, but where the original Constitution or Declaration of Independence was signed. But
also Tucumán is where the lovely Maria is from, who's been on this show 5 times, I think.
Maria.
Maria, who's she was the first Milei show.
I know what you were talking about. She's from Tucumán. Cool.
Yeah, she's from Tucumán. Yeah.
It's interesting Argentinians I knew somebody from Tucumán as well. It's interesting talking to Argentinians that are from like Buenos Aires area, La Plata, when they talk about other people from other provinces, because there's some cultural differences, right?
Yeah.
More country, big city type stuff. So they're like the Cordoba people are more like the New Hampshire. They're more independent, and they have their own accents of it. So they have their different accents all throughout the country. And Cordoba, I think, is one of the most. It's like the Southern accent, So it's very distinct.
Yeah, Maria Lobo Murga is from Tucumán.
Cool.
And of course, one of the most visible La Libertad, deputies she's now in the Senate, but Maria Amelia Orozco is of course from Salta. So Salta's been a good place for Milei.
That's right. And the governor there, he calls himself a Peronist, but he's been somewhat sympathetic, somewhat able to work with Milei. They passed the Rigi. So yeah.
Yeah. How do you spell that? Rigi.
RIGI. It's the, I forget. You can look it up, Chris, what it actually means, but what the acronym means. But it's that he passed that in 2024 with his legislation, which was all these guarantees for investors, like a 30-year guarantee for investors. So if they were approved for the Rigi program, it's for like strategic areas like mining and stuff like that, like lithium and oil. Now they're doing a super Rigi, Chris. Have you heard about this? A super Rigi, which is like a much more expanded investment thing that gives good terms for people to invest, to much more than just like strategic things like mining and oil and fishing and pipelines and plants like that. And it's for, like if you want to have a battery factory, stuff like that. If you want to have like some more there's always these one of the reasons why industrial policy is so concerned, and I hear people complaining about Argentina industrial policy. Argentina had an industrial policy and it was a disaster. That's what we're talking about, protecting and all these industries. And actually, it was JP Morgan came out with an analysis of Argentina industry, and there were a few of them, like their food, and they make food and candy and all that stuff that they export. And if it's all great. Their food is amazing in Argentina, and that's like that's like worldwide competitive. That's competitive throughout the world. But you find that more and more of these industries sometimes are just completely unviable. Like they talk about the textile industry in Argentina. They claimed it was inviable. It was not viable industry. And there was a bunch of them that were maybe only viable within the country. Some were viable in Mercosur, but like a lot of the industry just was not viable or was uncompetitive. So
I mean, I got to say too, I bought a few pairs of pants down in Argentina that I really liked.
But they were expensive, weren't they?
They were
probably about the same price as you got up here, right?
That's one thing I will say. Some things in Argentina are not cheap at all.
Their clothes.
These are cheap. And just to clarify also, the RIGI means Régimen de Incentivo para Grandes Inversiones, which is the incentive regime for large investments. I hope this just means we're not giving them corporate welfare, but we're just encouraging them to come here.
No, it's not corporate welfare. It's just like for example, exchange rates can really mess with companies. You have like very floating exchange rates. That's horrible for companies. That's this is like helping them. It's like guarantees for that. Lower taxes so they don't get totally like it's stuff that I wouldn't call it welfare. And if you want if you want international investment, I'm just gonna and you're a place like Argentina, you're gonna have to give some protections, right? So I wouldn't call it corporate welfare.
I mean,
they're not giving them any like subsidy, like government subsidies. And so I wouldn't say that. They also, I think that they had one for small businesses too. They had like a similar regime for smaller investments and stuff. So
I wonder if Elon will come down and maybe build a Tesla factory or build a battery factory. That's the one person
I think
he really likes Milei. Elon.
Right. Yeah, I think maybe with the better laws that Milei is passing, it's possible. Now with the labor laws that they had and the taxes that they had, it just still wasn't that competitive. That's why I'm saying that Milei really needed to pass them these other laws, right? So, another thing, Chris, is they're on the final stages of building all the private highways.
Yeah, private highways could be interesting. I mean, it's
9,000 kilometers of highways they're building.
Yeah, I wonder what kind of highways they'll have because, I notice that sometimes in places like Argentina, people probably just don't travel as much. And it's one of the things when I was on one of my trips down there when I went to Mendoza, and then I saw an abandoned railroad. Then I looked up that that railroad was actually the first railroad to cross the Andes, and I'm just thinking, oh, it's so sad to see this railroad abandoned.
Yeah, the trains, the government destroyed the train system in Argentina.
Because you think, but I actually had a brother years ago who worked on the railroads, and that is work. And you can imagine what kind of work it was like, say in the 80s. 1980s? Can you imagine what it was like to work on the railroad, in the 19 aughts, the 19 teens? Oh my! I mean,
There's some good movies
digging
about
tunnels, going up mountains, and just
yeah.
cry.
Well, I've been in Colorado, I ski
Oh yeah,
there a lot. Like they build these tunnels, and they'll say like finished in 1890 and stuff
yeah,
through the mountains, and it took it took a decade or two to finish, right? And I remember in Winter Park, Colorado, there's one, and they're very narrow. It's like, wow, that's like getting a train through that. That's pretty, but um, so I totally agree. It's almost like mining, in that regard, right? So, but Argentina, the private this is one thing that actually that Caputo said was going to be a boon for the economy in a lot of ways. For they're always complaining that Milei, he's got a budget surplus, but he's letting the country crumble, the infrastructure crumble, and which is funny because the Peronist government spent tons of money on infrastructure and it just crumbled. Why? Because there was corruption, right? And they would just pocket the money, right? So, but Caputo's talking about this. This is private stuff. So it's not even the taxpayers paying for it, and it's going to create tons of jobs, right? So that's good. Also, they're giving me the oil and gas sector is getting they're investing billions of dollars in the oil and gas sector in Argentina. They're building a pipeline. I think it's to Bahia Blanca, and it's actually where Manu Ginobili's from. It's a city in Buenos Aires province, but they're building these pipelines. They're building a urea fertilizer plant. There's a lot of big investments coming into Argentina. So
if they feel like if they're confident that their property won't be seized in 10 years, they're much more likely to invest in it. Yeah,
right. And there's the foreign direct investment has been not blowing the world out of. It's not been as high as it was during Macri. And my belief is that foreign direct investment, the reason why is because of just the horrible governance of the last 20 years. And the fact that people got burnt with Macri, that a lot of people invested in the economy during Macri, only for the Peronists to come back in 2019 to win in 2019, right? So and then destroy everything. So I think people are just a little bit skittish that Argentina that the same thing that happened to Macri happens to Milei.
And I think if things go well in 2027, there'll probably be flooding of investments after that.
Yeah, I think it's very important that the economy starts to improve because, what you don't want to happen is the same thing that happened in 2025, right? Where investors start to get skittish, because of the election, right?
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, have you seen these investors? There was this is it Druckenmiller? I don't know him.
Druckenmiller.
Yeah, he's a billionaire investor, and he reinvested. He actually pulled his investments from Argentina after that election in September, where the Peronists won.
Stanley Druckenmiller. Yeah.
I think that's him. But he reinvested in Argentina. I think 5% of his portfolio back into Argentina. And you see Peter Thiel moved
Yes.
to Argentina recently.
Yeah. Teal. Yeah. Teal's a smart guy. If he's betting on Argentina, I would definitely pay attention to that. I mean,
Yeah, I do. And
he's moved his kids there and everything. He's essentially given up on the USA, which
well, he still does some investments. Like people think he's like this evil shadow master and stuff, like with Palantir and stuff. From what I understand, and this is what's coming from Robert Barnes, is that he isn't really involved in Palantir. Like he hasn't been very involved in it, and Palantir has been co-opted by the government state or what the national security state, but. But he, according to Barnes, he wasn't. He actually he was more reluctant to get involved in U.S. politics, and he had to be kind of forced into it, or had to be convinced to do it, and he's essentially like retired from that. Like that's why he moved to Argentina, because he doesn't want to be involved with it anymore.
yeah.
His name gets thrown in the rug. And do I think Thiel is perfect? No, but he does seem to believe in free markets. He does seem to believe in he does understand entrepreneurs. He was a part of a venture capital firm.
Yeah,
like it's not all Palantir. He's actually invested in firms like PayPal that have improved the efficiency of the economy, right? So, and his
he was an early investor in PayPal and also an early investor in Facebook. And I think Facebook's really where he made a lot of money. It's really, I guess I do ask myself, what did he say about the coronavirus policies? And I always, because I heard so few of these billionaires talking about the coronavirus policies and just how bad they were. But yeah, it's really hard to say what some of these people believe, and I think sometimes they just don't say anything.
Sorry, Chris. A lot of these billionaires live in their own little world, dude. They don't. They don't have to come around a normal person. They don't have to see a normal person, a regular person. They're billionaires. They can be in their gated communities, and their or even higher, on their islands, whatever they live. Thiel, though, interestingly, did a chess competition. Did you see this in Buenos Aires? Where he did a chess competition with normal people, and he finished third.
Yeah, I like that.
I think Thiel's maybe a little bit different. Whitney Webb and some of these people view him as like this, they view him as like this evil technocrat.
Well, a lot of people are legitimately worried about surveillance, and I fully understand that.
That's for sure. Sure. And there's people I like that are get into that. Like that, I listen to Andreessen on Mark Andreessen, who I kind of like on Joe Rogan, where he was defending the flock cameras, which he has an investment in. He's a big venture capital guy.
Well, yeah, Rogan's not poor, Rogan. I think Rogan's been pretty smart with his money. It's always
I'm just saying that Andreessen was on Rogan.
Oh yeah,
defending the flock cameras. The controversy of the flock stuff, Chris, where these cameras they use AI to facial identify everything. And
I'm not a fan of a lot of this stuff. Just
right. But I kind of like Andreessen, and there's people that kind of invest in that stuff. There's people that invest in. They kind of see the government going that way, and they start investing in. And Thiel might be But the funny part is like Thiel seems to want to just get away, and
could be.
You might see more of people just wanting to get away, right? And my point is Barnes was basically saying Thiel was basically retired at this point, like more or less like retired with a lot of this stuff and kind of done with it, and that's why he moved to Argentina. Didn't want to play kingmaker. so much.
Yeah, but guys like Teal don't want to do nothing. They want to go out and have an impact on the world. They want to create
And
stuff.
he's, Teal invested in Prospera, in
Yeah.
Honduras.
Oh yeah, I did not know that. But
He's
that's great. Yeah.
invested in the what's the seasteading?
Yeah,
Seasteading where you.
I mean, I always like the Teal Fellowship best. Basically telling we'll give you $100,000 if you drop out of college. I mean, I think that's hilarious. I mean, so that upset so many people. It just made people so mad, and
Yeah, and Teal kind of get it. A guy I very much love. I don't. I love is George Gilder, a
yeah,
great author. I think his book Knowledge and Power is difficult. It's a very difficult book,
yeah,
but it's like it's closer. If you have a dartboard, it's closer to the bullseye than almost anything there
yeah.
is. Like I'm not saying it hits the
Well,
bullseye, but it's pretty damn close. And
I,
his book Knowledge and Power is phenomenal.
I,
But he and Teal had a debate, and I thought it's worth watching Gilder and Teal, and
I should say, yeah,
their ideas of how their ideas of how growth happens, how innovation happens. I think is
yeah,
it's very well advanced, right? So I think they're
yeah,
very valuable, and I think that's what Gilder. I talked to Gilder at Freedom Fest the last time I was there in 2024. I asked Gilder, who is, like I said, somewhat of a hero, and I asked him about Malay, and he's like, yeah, that's one of the most exciting things that's happening in the world,
yeah,
right? Is what is Malay, and I think Malay is trying to make Argentina a place where you can invest and make a lot of money and all that stuff. And by the way, he's trying to start. He would love. He and Caputo said that Argentina will never fully take off without like a capital market. And if you know what that is, it's like the stock market.
yeah,
Uh, it's where companies can raise money, for example, SpaceX is going to do an initial public offering, right? That happens in the United States. It's the biggest capital market in the world.
yeah. I
And
do.
it's really the source of US's. It's really the source of US's power. I mean, one of them, right? And
Well, we've had a lot of different.
Argentina, because of years of mismanagement, doesn't have a capital market. By the way, we talk about the Libra stuff, Chris. That's what Malay was trying to do with the Libra stuff. He was trying to experiment with creating like a somewhat of a capital market, right? Unfortunately it failed, but that people tried it, like he was just trying to enrich himself and stuff. That's not what he was trying to do. They don't have capital markets in Argentina right now. He thought these meme coins could
Yeah,
somewhat be it like an innovative way to replicate a capital market where a company could sell them to raise money, right? A
yeah,
company could sell them to raise money for their business, and they could be traded or whatever, right? Because they had value. That's what Malay thought was going to happen, and it failed. But like that's what him and Caputo are trying to create an environment that they do have a market where these entrepreneurs can raise money for their companies,
really. Yeah, we'll see.
which is it's a pretty big problem is the ability to capital. Like companies can usually only grow to a certain extent. They need lending. They need sometimes just equity markets, and
Sometimes.
that's something in Argentina both ways that are insufficient. Is
Yeah,
their banking system
mhm.
isn't is just not good enough, and their capital markets aren't good enough, and those are some things like that that, if they start to improve, that's when you're going to see like the high growth in Argentina.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to what Bill Gates said, that it's uh, giving away money effectively is actually harder than making it. So I'd be curious to see what Teal gets involved with. I mean, and it's certainly seeing. This certainly looks like it could be a bright future for Argentina. I just, my big issue is, I think if there was no corporate welfare, I think 80% of socialism would go away too. I really do. I mean, you know, I mean, when you talk about capitalism, these people, they're always talking about, about government handouts and stuff. I find there are actually very few true capitalists out there. So, but when we find them, I hope we can definitely hold on to them. And I do think a lot of people just figure, well, I can't be a capitalist in this system. It's impossible. And maybe that's why Teal went there, is because it is possible.
It's becoming more possible. Like, Argentina's economic freedom index. This is what the guy buy sell BA was it's still low. I think it's like 100, but it was like 170 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, as we said,
and that was before the labor reform. They also incorporate inflation rates into that. So if you have high inflation, that drags you down. So as inflation improves, so that hopefully that they'll get improved. But Milei is also trying to do a legislation to really strengthen property rights.
Yeah.
It's like the property rights is inviolable.
Oh yeah.
So, there's some great legislations. Hopefully he can get passed.
Property.
Like if some people are worried about the 2027 election. It looks like Kicillof is going to come against him, and probably Kicillof is the biggest opponent of Milei. I think.
Yeah.
From the Corona side.
Kicillof is Massa. What is Massa doing now anyway?
First of all, the guy's like not smart.
I
heard he was in some private equity firm or something.
Oh gosh, who knows what he's doing there? And of course, Alberto Fernandez went to Spain. That was still one of my favorite actions. That's still one of my favorite actions by Fernandez. Is Milei canceled Fernandez's security team. He basically said, "You're not president anymore. Tough luck." I mean. So,
he's like Fernandez. He's a criminal. They put charges about all this insurance fraud. That's the thing that it seems like their system just doesn't. Their judicial system seems to move so slowly.
Yeah. And the
which our friend. What's our friend? The first guy you had on, he's my friend, but my brain is blanking. Joram had experience.
Joram, from Louisiana,
yeah, great guy.
Yeah, back in Louisiana, but yeah.
I
always love to get the perspective of people who have lived in both countries. I mean, that's always cool. Yeah,
right. And, that's the source of a lot of my knowledge. Is I have so many contacts there, right? So,
I have contacts here now too. Yes.
Of course,
of course, your parents-in-law know Milei personally. So
my father does. My mother-in-law doesn't, but she was a early supporter of Milei. She loves Milei, so
it's easier to get close to these people than it is to get closer even to some American governors. It's kind of wild, yeah. I'm glad it's that way.
Yeah, so. Milei was they had the caste in Argentina, so it wasn't necessarily, but Milei was just an average guy, a very talented, brilliant, like one of a million or billion type of guy that was in the right place at the right time. And your friend, our friend Jorge Truco, he was just an average guy.
Yeah.
right? The Milei is a workaholic. I must say this: I've never seen Milei take a real vacation since he's been president. Like
Yeah. I
where
mean,
he
maybe.
actually now sometimes he's a little, but he's like the guy is a workaholic. Like I mean, he did go to Mar del Plata. I remember to see Fatima.
Fatima. Yeah. Yeah. Fatima, who was his girlfriend back a while
Yeah,
back.
he
Yeah.
saw her fairly recently too.
Yeah.
But you know, he doesn't like his vacations are like going to the United States to like do a conference
Yeah.
or to do the, you know, he does never stops. He is the hardest worker, and then he's like writing books on his spare time. He published a papers. He published a couple papers.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, one of them he demonstrated the WEF. The guy does not stop. He does not stop working, and there's just that you know like he's a workaholic that I you know is
Mhm.
something I admire kind of you know
Yeah.
like
Does he?
the guy
He.
the guy just um, you can see why he's just been so productive, and that's part of the reason he's so good. I mean he's just an extremely productive person.
I will assume that he probably takes some time now and then to play with his dogs. I mean, who doesn't play with, why do you have dogs?
Yeah, but that's where he lives. His
Yeah, but
dogs
that's
live
where he
there.
lives. Yeah, but play with your dogs, throw him a ball, and play catch, go run around with him. It's a yeah. I don't know if you heard me get up at the convention that that lady sung that song about Milei's dog, and I said, I'm sorry, Javier Milei has four dogs.
I think
Yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah,
four.
four dogs. Maybe Trump will teach him to play golf. But this is another thing too. A lot of people don't realize too. Golf is also. I mean, that's kind of how men are. Two business executives will say, "Let's go play 9 holes," and
Yeah,
while
it's
they're playing 9 holes, they're talking about business.
yeah, and I had this explained to me because I'm
Yeah,
not a golfer, but golf
yeah,
is such a frustrating sport
yeah,
where like you can get very emotional, and
mhm,
when you play golf, it's actually good to see somebody's demeanor
yeah,
because they can play, you know, you're going to have some bad shots and all that stuff, and you get to see somebody's demeanor and how they react
mhm,
to something bad happening, and you know because it just no you know like you know golf is golf where you're it's a tough sport, right?
mhm,
And it you get to it's more than just a meeting. It's like you get to
yeah,
experience a person more, right? And
mhm,
that's the secret about it. You know, that's why Trump takes everybody on the golf course, right? It's a great, it's a
yeah,
great, it's one of those things. I ski, you know, Chris, and one of the cool things about skiing is I talk to everybody. If I'm on the ski resort on the ski lift, I'm a big skier. I always try to start a conversation, and I have the best conversations. But what one of the fun thing about skiing is it's a high barrier. It's like it's expensive, right?
yeah,
And but you meet some of the most interesting people on the ski lifts, man. And that's why I try to get to talking to them. I've talked to some of the most fascinating people, and so like you know golf is another one where if you want to do business you really you need to know it, but uh, man the ski lifts have just like uh, I could be a better networker and get to but ski resorts are just an incredible way to meet very impressive people because unless there's a couple of these private clubs, you know, like Tom Brady's a part of, they're like in
mhm,
Wyoming and stuff,
yeah,
right? Where they're mountains that are private, and the like the fee to go to these the be a
mhm.
member has to be like 100,000 a year or something.
Oh wow, yeah,
But like but besides doing that, the rich people still have to get on the ski lifts.
yeah,
You know, you could have a billionaire sitting by you on the ski lift, you know,
mhm,
and so
yeah,
that's why it's so interesting to strike up conversations on them. I just love them to do it, dude. I've met
Oh
some of
yeah,
the coolest people.
yeah, and you've got some nice mountains up in New Hampshire. When I went up to
Yeah.
Portsmouth, I actually drove up and down Mount Washington, which is the
Oh, did
scariest
you?
drive I've ever been on.
Dude,
Uh, it's so foggy up there, though. It was so foggy
it's
up there.
terrifying, man. It's
Yeah,
terrifying.
you know.
Driving up Mount
Have you
Washington.
been skiing in Argentina? There's some skiing down there, right?
Yeah, I've not done it. I
Yeah,
know people that have. I would love to do it.
yeah,
You would have to go in the summer, of course,
yeah.
here.
Somewhere up here, yeah.
There are people that do like professional skiers
Oh yeah,
uh, that go down to South America to ski to keep practicing during the winter because
yeah. Skiing
if you're
around.
like if you're a professional skier, you can't just take off like half the year, right? So they'll go down to South America to practice skiing.
Yeah, and there's still a degree of danger involved with skiing. I mean, if you wipe out or go the wrong way, you can.
Yeah, I've been skiing since I was two,
Yeah,
so for sure. But part of being a good skier is being careful and
yeah,
being aware of your surroundings. It's like being a good driver. Part of being a great driver is just being careful and knowing your
there
limits.
you go.
Knowing that something bad can happen
Mhm.
if you skip a step, something bad can happen, right?
Yeah,
So that's part of being a good skier. Yes, I do some stuff that's risky, but um,
yeah. Anybody else you think might be running against Milei in 2027? I mean, we talked about.
yeah,
I mean,
there was this
Miriam
one guy.
Bregman may be running again.
What? Go ahead, Chris.
Miriam Bregman may be running again.
Yes, and
Bless her heart.
bless her heart, and she'll probably do better than she did last time, but it it won't be 2%. It'll be maybe 5%, but it'll take votes from the Kirchnerists.
Yes, she started out as a Trotskyist. Yes,
Well, she's a communist. I mean,
oh, she's a right genius.
their
Yes,
party is socialist. They're openly communist and
yes.
socialist in their party.
I think
They're a
I think
socialist party.
I really think the South American communists are starting to get desperate. I mean, we haven't mentioned it, but right next door to right on the
Bolivia,
northern border of Argentina, we've got some really interesting stuff going down in Bolivia,
right?
which I need to do a show on. With
Yeah.
Evo Morales trying to coup d'état or basically
Oh yeah,
take over the whole government. I know Milei has actually sent some humanitarian aid there too. It's
because what they were doing.
yeah.
This is why communists aren't anti-war
Oh no.
or anything. They're pro-war if it's
Oh, yeah.
if it's they're pro-regime change. They're pro everything they claim they're not.
They're pro violence. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, they're pro-violence. They're pro like
you know,
everything they're
yeah.
not. If
And
it's a government they don't like,
yeah.
and in Bolivia, yeah, Evo Morales, who everybody claims is involved in all these shady things like drug trafficking and child trafficking,
Yes.
with human trafficking.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I don't know the actual proof of that, but it I don't know the actual proof of that, but
Yeah. Well,
but he is a bad guy. He is a bad guy.
Oh, yeah.
He was a socialist. And Bolivia is the problem with Bolivia is there's like European type people, and then there's the indigenous people,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, it's like a little bit more tribal.
Yeah.
It's a landlocked country. It has very little water. Like they don't have the rivers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have some of the advantages of some of these other places. But and Paz won.
Yeah.
And the socialist lost everything. I think they went from in their legislature the majority to one person in their they got absolutely demolished.
Oh,
and these communists that are on X. So Marat took his thugs
Mm.
And Paz is making, he's having to cut spending. He's trying to get, because their inflation's bad. He's having to try to do some of the same stuff as Milei is doing. He's not a Milei either.
Yeah,
But
I don't think any of them are Milei's, but I think they're all realizing that maybe.
yeah, but
I think Milei is probably going to make one thing. I think Milei is probably going to make them a lot more courageous than they would have
absolutely,
been otherwise. And of course, the
there's
election.
no doubt.
We're also talking this, with the elections in Colombia tomorrow. So it's, I mean,
Oh, those are tomorrow. That's right, there tomorrow.
I mean, I'm hoping, I'm really hoping that Milei is causing an entire revolution in South America, because I
think
I see South America as really the last hope for Western civilization overall. I mean,
like I don't know, because South America was lost and then kind of coming back, and I think it's possible in other places too.
yeah.
But some they don't have the immigration stuff that some of the other places do. That's
Well, nobody wants to go to a poor country. It's as simple as that.
Right. It's way more far out of the way.
I mean,
it's not. All Europe is connected to. There's a land bridge to the Middle East, and
and
right by there.
It's not that. It's also, it's not that none of the American airlines fly to Bolivia. I mean, they fly to Chile. They fly.
Yeah, they have a visa. They make you pay to get into Bolivia because of a visa. They do this thing. They do reciprocal. So if which is just so stupid.
It was kind of weird getting in and out of Bolivia. It's funny.
Bolivia.
Yeah, I was in Bolivia.
You had to pay money to get a visa, didn't you?
I don't believe I did, but what was funny too is they also asked me, how long because I literally was just flying from La Paz to Lima.
Yeah, they changed that.
Doing it about a day layover and then flying home from Lima. They're asking me, how long are you staying in Lima? Getting out of Bolivia was kind of funny, but they did some other things well. One thing that was really interesting when we entered Bolivia and Santa Cruz, the customs people actually cared enough and they said, and they basically said, if you're stopping here, we're going to take care of the people that have a connection first. I thought that was really cool. People who had a connecting flight, they said, we'll take care of them first so they can get to their flights. You're stopping here in Santa Cruz. You got to wait. I thought that was very mindful. I mean, seeing government bureaucrats actually try to help people. And I certainly would, I certainly didn't have any problem with it. But yeah, Bolivia was nice, though. It seemed like it was and they speak really good English too. But yeah,
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. But if you go to Bolivia or Paraguay, you're probably going to end up hopping through some other country, and they still have like their own government airlines, and they both sucked.
Yeah, of course. Argentina has their own too, but anyways, Morales,
Morales,
they're cutting off all the roads to the big city.
Oh yeah, it's really becoming. I mean, I just
and I think actually Paz has opened those up, so he's fought them back. I think.
Yeah.
They're having all these demonstrations, and it is tough because you're a poor country, extremely poor country like Bolivia, and because of socialism, and they have a huge public sector, and they have bad inflation. So you're going to have to cut. You're going to have to make some adjustments.
Yeah, and you hope you get
that. You look at their GDP, and it's way down, right? Mm-hmm. But Argentina's was way down. The first 6 months of Milei.
Oh yeah.
So it takes time, and these socialists don't want things to improve. They don't want the things to actually improve. They want to take control now.
What is interesting about Bolivia, though, is that while La Paz is one of the capitals and Sucre is also the capital, the business center is really Santa Cruz. I mean, which is usually in a lot of these South American countries, the capital is the business center. So it doesn't necessarily have one dominant city like the other countries do. I hope they work it out.
I really do too. I really do too.
And Bolivia and Paraguay, they're still having kids. I mean, it's like 2.5 there. I mean, in the other South American countries,
I'm bullish on Paraguay as well. I'm bullish on Paraguay as well. I really like Paraguay. I think they've been doing it right for the last 20 years. I know they're not, I think they're so I think they should be higher on the
Yeah,
economic freedom index. Honestly, I
yeah,
think they should be, but
they have good
some
gun
of the
laws.
things is like they get them on like government.
Mhm.
They get them on stuff like government reliability or stuff like that,
Yeah,
and that's that's
their national airline really sucks. But yeah, uh,
yeah.
that was also a place where I actually got peach juice. I've never had peach juice, but you can
In
get
Paraguay.
yeah Paraguay peach.
Yeah, I'd like to go there sometime.
I will say if you go to either country, go into them on one of the outside airlines. Like uh, go in and out of them because their airlines are both crap. Pretty much, but you
Yeah.
can get to both countries pretty easily from Buenos Aires, I believe, and just yeah, or from Lima.
Hmm. Yeah, I'd like to spend to do that.
Yeah, I hope you get back to South America soon.
I was supposed to go there during the
Yeah,
holidays, but
yeah.
for it
I
was
can
going to be
imagine.
a long one. But unfortunately, I didn't make it.
I can imagine that. I can imagine they really. I bet they really do an amazing Christmas down in Argentina. I can.
Yeah, the one they do the one that they really go crazy is the New Year's. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
New Year's they go kind of
yeah.
crazy,
There was other.
fireworks, and
Yeah,
they go a little. I think they more sanctimonious or whatever. Christmas. It's not like it's not important. They do, it's a summer holiday. Which I mean, you live down there in Texas. It's almost like a summer all year round.
yeah. It's
But
it's
I'm from the northern part. Kind of.
yeah. Sometimes I miss the warmer weather. It's a you probably go where do you usually go through Miami or what do you go through to go to Argentina usually? I mean, I don't think you
So
go.
it's been
Yeah. Well, it depends on what airline you go on.
it's been New York. I think there's Atlanta,
Atlanta, Miami. Yeah. Well, Atlanta's
stuff like
Delta.
that. Yeah, and I've flown back through Houston or
Yeah.
New
Yeah,
York.
that's United.
New York's the one that you live up here, and we obviously we go by price. We look at price and stuff when
Oh
we're
yeah.
flying. But New York is one. It's close and it works out a lot of times.
Yeah, you're about an hour and a half to New York, and then you take
Right.
about 12 hours down to Buenos Aires, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
It's a long flight.
that's yeah, and it doesn't really seem. I'm curious to know what's going to happen with their airports if they get a lot more business down there. They're going to get a lot more flights, people going in and out.
Yeah, that's another thing is their airlines. I saw that they've been setting records as
Oh
far as
yeah,
people.
I'm I'm still surprised that somebody like since he opened up the airlines, that Volaris or Avianca hasn't tried to move in there because
Who?
Aerolíneas. Well, Avianca is the Colombian airline, and Volaris
Okay.
is the Mexican airline, but they do have presences in other countries.
Yeah,
So,
they might be
considering how
down there.
bad Argentina is, I'm kind of surprised nobody's tried to move in to push them out. Latam, of course, is not in Argentina, and I don't know if they'll move back in, but uh, you know, and those
You
airports don't
know,
seem.
when I've gone there, I've used the Latam though.
Yeah, well, I
I
usually.
think they do fly into Argentina. I don't know. I'd have to look. I think they do fly into Argentina.
Yeah,
Latam.
it's getting more. They'll have more airlines on there, and then maybe they'll have more people flying between the
Yeah,
cities.
the open skies. Now, one thing is the
Yeah,
open. I have to look into open skies for some reason. The open sky stuff that Malay did, which deregulates I've never quite wrapped my head around it, understood it totally. Um, like I need to have it explained to me the open sky stuff. But I know it involves not protectionism of the so much of the national airlines, but the open sky stuff seems to be have really improved the pricing and the quality of the airline
yeah,
industry.
and of course with gas in Iran, that's not helping matters. I mean, that's going to make it.
Yeah, Yeah, that's what's interesting, though. I look at Argentina's economy; it seems to be doing better despite that. And I think that's partly, like you said, people don't travel as much there.
Yeah.
Gas is already expensive there, so people's economy doesn't rely quite as
We
much
have
on
They have some public transportation too. You can take the trains down there. I mean,
right.
yeah, it's funny. I was looking at going from Detroit to Grand Rapids recently, and I told people, if you can give me a ride, give me a ride from Detroit to Grand Rapids, I'll fill you up. We'll stop somewhere along the way, and I'll give you one fill up for
Right.
taking. But then I ended up just taking a bus, and I said, taking this bus ticket might actually be cheaper than one fill up of somebody's gas tank. It was just so. Of course, I got to do other things besides that, but it's so. Yeah, and I'm curious to know what else is there to look at with the economy. We've had so many. There's If there's
Well,
anything to talk about, because we're going a little off topic of Argentina, but
sorry. There's
we're both responsible for this. But yeah, it's a yeah,
I think that the key factor is the inflation,
yeah,
unemployment, jobs, salaries, right? If they can start getting the inflation keeps coming down and the salaries are rising relative to inflation,
yeah.
um, and they have been at times during the Milei presidency. I think
Oh yeah.
for when it spiked up to like 3%, though,
Mhm.
it they actually the inflation was rising faster than salaries. So some of this is just is the average person just feeling, right? How are
Mhm.
they feeling like it's getting better? Is there more like jobs available? What is the formal market doing? Are
Yeah.
more people joining the formal market? Also, the IMF says, and Milei agree, they're just saying what Milei already knows is they want to reform the tax system, right? Because they have
Mhm.
160 taxes or something,
Oh
and
yeah.
just a few taxes, right? So that's very important. Eventually, they need to one of the last final bosses is the few remaining capital controls they have left, and I know they've gotten rid of most of them, the SEPO and stuff, but and that involves like dividends that have been around for a long time. The problem is they put these capital controls on businesses a long time ago, right? Like over 10 years ago,
Mhm.
and they wouldn't let them repatriate or send back the dividends out of the country, right? So your company makes profit. You want to give dividends to your investors, right?
Mhm.
But this was banned in Argentina, the dividends. And the problem is there's billions of dollars of dividends that have been accrued. If that accrued, some say up to 10 billion in dividends that have been accrued because of because they've been over the years, right, Chris? Because all the
Yeah.
years of them not letting them happen, so they just accumulated. And the fear is that if you open that up, then there'll be billions of dollars leaving the country,
Mhm.
right? And that'll hurt their dollar balances. So Malay really, but you know, but if but it would really getting rid of that last like final boss would extremely make Argentina even a bigger investment. Like
Yeah.
you know, so it's kind of a thing that Malay he really wants to do it, but it's a tender situation with their cash and stuff. So
Well, and if you stabilize the currency, you'll also be getting into a market where people can, buy houses on mortgages. They can buy cars with car payments.
right,
If your currency is shit, you have to buy a house with that.
yeah,
You have to put 100% down on the house. You have to put 100% down on the car.
yeah.
And
And
it's making
this is
people
one
buy
thing.
cars. Yeah.
Sorry, Chris, keep going. I'm sorry.
It makes it easier for people to buy cars. Also, I was thinking too. Who do you think's going to be after Milei? I mean, assuming he wins in 2027, who runs in 2031?
It's really tough. I thought it was going to be Adorni, but after what's happening with Adorni,
Some say
I don't think he's out of the question. I think he can rehabilitate his image and stuff.
Yeah.
But what's happening with Adorni, I thought it was going to be him. He's just such a wonderful communicator. I mean, I hope it's not somebody like Petri. I hope they can find somebody.
Yeah.
Or Bullrich. I hope they can find somebody that's like a Milei. That's why I said Adorni.
I don't know if Bullrich is it. Bullrich is it.
He's also going to be pretty old.
Maybe Mondino could make a comeback too. I'd love to see that.
I would love to see Mondino make a comeback.
I don't know if there's
there was talk about moving her to another position in his government, but that never happened.
Yeah, and I was really honored I got to see her again. She is a wonderful lady, and
yeah,
I think maybe she.
No, it wasn't necessarily her wheelhouse. Being a diplomat,
but she's definitely a true believer, though. She's probably
she still defends Milei. She
cares about the country, and she's not
Milei. I think she said the Libra thing was dumb. But to be fair, I think that's a fair assessment. It was kind of dumb, but I think it just didn't work out. I think I do believe that Milei, when he says that, what I described earlier about the capital markets.
Yeah.
But I would love to see her do a comeback. I don't it's a good question. And that's one of some of the criticisms of Milei right now among his base is how is he setting it up? And there's a lot of distrust between Karina Milei and some of the people that they put in around her, right?
Yeah,
that's some of the distrust going on. And a good the best leaders get a successor, right?
They do, yeah. And one thing is that I've often said too, the one thing I really love about Milei is while Donald Trump has made so many people his useful idiots, Milei has actually made Trump his useful idiot. I'm just looking. I mean, really, he's not. I mean, it seems like a relationship that's really benefited Milei a lot more than it's really not benefited Trump at all. But Trump likes him, so make the most of it. I mean,
well, this Milei has played into this Monroe doctrine thing.
Monroe doctrine, yes,
Which it's kind of in the Monroe doctrine he doesn't seem to understand it, but there's no European colonies, and that's what it was about.
Yeah, there's no European colonies. I mean,
that's what it was about. It's not, but anyways, he's really played into that, that whole, that whole thing, and the geopolitical, spheres of influence thing.
Yeah,
Milei first of all showed his admiration for Donald Trump before he was even president. And Milei really did like Donald Trump, right? And the right in Argentina always liked Donald Trump. So Donald Trump knew he liked him, and then I totally agree with you, Chris. I think because Milei has still been trading with China, right? Milei has still been very friendly with China as far as trade and stuff. He's not and by the way, I don't think Trump has a huge problem with them because we trade with China. The U.S. trades with China.
Yeah, you can't just pretend that these countries don't exist.
Yeah, they're a huge economic force. So we trade with China. So it's
yeah, China's there. I mean, a billion. That's one. I mean, a billion people. That's 1/8 of the world's population. You just can't.
Yeah, for sure.
But.
So my point is, I loved your assessment of it. I kind of felt the same way. I kind of felt the same way that Milei has getting a lot from his relationship with Trump.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and as I've said before too, the president of the United States is more powerful than Queen Victoria, Genghis Khan, Julius Caesar, or
of
Alexander.
course.
I
Yeah,
mean, really, he is.
especially in the imperial
And
presidency
the
that
way
we
and the
have.
way with the way the world is, it's
Yeah.
and the one thing I would be concerned about, is I know China is sort of violating Peru's fishing rights, so I wonder if it's also
They do
happening
that with
elsewhere.
Argentina too.
Yeah, there, and I would just, and eventually I would just, when you get the military back up and get a little stronger, just send a boat out and say, okay, we're
Yeah,
torpedo one of them, and
yeah,
that,
but
that
they do this thing where
yeah,
it's like a meter off the international like water,
yeah,
right? They do it right at the international waters.
okay, it's a
So
very
it's kind of a problem, but that the problem is like that produces they start that
yeah,
that's like it's like drilling a well, when you have a huge oil, like if you drill,
yeah,
you can take it from.
diagonally or something. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's sort of like like the Kuwait Iraqi fight back in.
I guess it's not really violating them if they're outside the range, but it's kind of a weird thing because I certainly don't trust China. I don't think Milei does, but and of course Milei
China has
also
their own
wants,
issues.
and but it's I think it's interesting too. All of these South American communists are connected, so they've got to work together to put them down, and hopefully maybe this will finally be the end of them because they've certainly certainly created a lot of havoc.
Right, you never
Peru
know.
is also having an election this year too, which
Who is?
Peru.
I've heard that. I've heard the right is.
Well, Peru keeps impeaching all their presidents, and the president resigned. But one thing I will say is, when I visited Peru 9 years ago, $1 is about 3 soles, and when I was there, in March for a day, it was about 3.5. It's actually one of the more stable South American currencies.
Yeah.
So maybe
The Chilean, the
maybe
Uruguayan.
keep removing your presidents. It actually makes things better. Or maybe it's just because they named their currency after the sun. I love
Yeah,
Peru. It's a great country. Well, anyway, this has been. I think we've about talked everything here. I don't know if there's.
yeah, it was a good conversation.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation. I always love having you on here. We went for over 2 hours again. So, well, and you're out there on Twitter, and you're getting lots. And Milei retweets you quite a bit.
Yeah, it's interesting. I do focus on Argentina, and there's a little bit less focus, but there's just so much. There's just, and especially in English, especially it's in span.
Oh yeah,
Everything is in Spanish there, and there's so many ways to misinterpret or get the wrong impression. And so I like to focus on a lot of the good things that are happening in Argentina. You know.
oh yeah,
So,
yeah. Well,
which is honestly, they do have some struggles and stuff.
well,
It's not all rainbows and
yeah.
roses,
Well,
but in general, I think they're going in the right direction. And it's, that you get a lot of these guys like, can I give you, before we leave, there's one
yeah,
thing.
sure, yeah. Go ahead.
You get these communists,
Yeah,
and because they're like anti-war, at least in like for the Iran war and the
yeah,
Ukraine war, which a lot of people sympathize with, right? A lot of libertarians and just people like are anti-war naturally. They get huge followings, and I'm thinking of Jackson Hinkle. Jackson Hinkle
God.
is a communist.
He's a communist. He's awful.
He's awful, but
I
he was one of the guys that was posting stuff about the Iran war. That was
Yeah.
like kind of and stuff. And so a lot of people started to follow him, right? Because
Yeah.
of that. And and there's a lot of these accounts like that. And you wonder if some of them are CCP backed or whatever.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
Right. Like there's a lot of these, they're called they use geopolitics. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of these, they're these geopolitics accounts that post stuff
I wonder
about
a lot
wars.
of it.
and that's one thing that even communists and most people can. The only thing worse than communism is war, right? Is a war.
Yeah, I hope
And
we never mention Jackson on this show again. So,
what?
but I
But
hope we
no,
never.
here's my point, though. Here's my point, Chris. Is he's grown his account so much that they spread these rumors about Milei, and they've become so popular because of these wars,
Yeah,
right? Because they oppose them, right? And this is what happened during Bolshevik Russia, right? A lot of people became, oh, these guys are against the World War One, the Great War, and
yeah,
they started to become more sympathetic to them. And that's what's happening with these. And then they spread these rumors, Chris,
yeah.
about Milei, these lies, and and they people start believing them. Like the donkey meat one. You remember the donkey meat? That they're so.
Oh yeah, the donkey meat. Yeah,
they're eating donkey meat.
they're trying to make things out to be worse.
And
A
total lie. A total lie.
Even some of the left libertarians in America will lick this stuff up, and it really gets them on.
Yeah, like really, I saw the chair of the LP party does that. Like he,
some of these,
but the people believe him, and that's the problem. That is a big problem with Milei, and that's one way they're going to try to defeat him in 2027. Yeah. Is these guys are going to be spreading tremendous lies. Oh, like the one about the Jews Israelis creating fires in Patagonia was debunked, but people believe that crap because these get millions and millions of views.
That reminds me, one thing we didn't
try to counteract that.
That's one thing we also didn't talk about. Ted Turner died, and he apparently had a lot of land in Patagonia. I believe there are some interesting laws regarding inheritance in Argentina, aren't there? Though I've heard, for example, half of it goes to your wife and half of it goes to your kids automatically. Is that how it works?
There is some. There is some laws like that where you can only some of it goes to your kids.
Yeah,
and some of it you can give it away, right?
I'm not necessarily.
I've seen this firsthand because I've seen people. I know people that their grandparents died and stuff. I'm not going to. And it actually incentivizes the kids to be like sociopaths because, they know they're going to get a portion of it, right?
Yeah.
And so they don't really have to treat the. I'll give you an example. I know one grandfather that he was he ran the household before. I know you want to get going, but let me.
No, I'm fine.
I'll tell you the story really quick.
I don't have to get going, but yeah, I just
Okay, it's getting long, but he ran the household and stuff and all the monetary and everything, and he died, and his wife was the survivor, and the one of her daughters treated her with such negligence that is astounding. Like put her in a home and put her in a home and gave her a very poor life for the rest of her life, which is ridiculous. And why? And then they started to immediately Airbnb the properties that she had and stuff, try to milk cow them. And why did they do it? Because they knew that they were going to get the property anyways, right? And when you have a will that you can give it to anybody, then the kids have an incentive to treat you well, right? So it creates bad incentives, in my opinion. When they do that. They need to, that's something hopefully that they can maybe reform.
It's there's certainly been a lot. Having watched this happen though with family, though, it can be a mess either way, and sometimes.
Yeah, it's a rough situation either way, but it's a tough situation.
Yeah, it's always a tough situation, but it looks like to me I'm pretty optimistic about who knows if and hopefully I'll work it out. Maybe I'll be in Argentina around the time of the election next year. Maybe I can even go out
Be
and
very interesting.
help
Yeah.
help. And I'd say maybe
I'm just hoping that,
I hope
I'm hoping that Milei, I'm hoping Caputo says it's going to be a cakewalk for Milei. That'd be the best for Argentina. Like it's a cakewalk for Milei, and it's like Reagan in 1984, where a dominant victory.
Well, one thing, Reagan just went out and said, Reagan had, a way of sympathizing. He just said to people, "Are you better off than you were 4 years ago?"
Yes, and I think that's what Milei. I'm hoping by the time of I think people are starting to get more positive about everything, but Milei needs to avoid any more Adorni situations and stuff.
Yeah.
But but if the economy just keeps improving, and everybody feels better, then Milei can just do that same prescription that Reagan did.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's good. So, I guess we're out. You're at Banger Shell on
11.
Twitter. Banger Shell.
Shell Banger on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you've had some columns everywhere, and
I should write some more. They keep asking me to write more. I should.
We've probably got 16 hours of shows just by ourselves now. Well, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, go buy my novel, Escape from the Village, turn on notifications. People are giving me money at Buy Me a Coffee, and check out my Substack. Thank you again, Skot Sheller. I'm Chris Baker. We're out. Buy my novel, Escape from the Village, from major booksellers online. Go to escapevillage.com. Subscribe to the Substack. Go to fountainheadforum.substack.com. Support the forum. Go to buymeacoffee.com/fountainheadforum. Thank you.